Hey, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show. Thanks for tuning in to the Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM. If you're interested in sponsoring my show, you can send me an email to the Mike Wagner Show at gmail.com, or you could also donate to the podcast. Just go to the Donate Listen site, and you can also donate whatever you like. Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. For those who are interested, Anchor can give you everything you need in one place for free, which you can use right from your phone or computer. We've got creation tools, allows you to record and edit podcasts so it sounds great, and they'll distribute the podcast for you so it can be heard everywhere. Spotify, Apple, Google, many more. And you can make money from the podcast with no minimum listenership. So download the Anchor app for free or go to Anchor FM to get started.
It's now time for the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube, iTunes, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and the MikeWagnerShow.com. Mike brings you great guests and interesting people from all across the globe. So sit back, relax, and enjoy another great episode of the Mike Wagner Show.
Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking for a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support at sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at facebook.com/the Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, and Apple. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. We're here with a very playful trio from London, England called the Deep Blue Sea. They're a blues rock band from London, England, formerly known as the Little Devils before changing to the DBS. They've got a new album out called Strange Ways and have a new single which we'll talk about. And these are compromised with members from the U.S., Sweden, and also from Spain as well. And, of course, just very unique sound. Check them out, deepbluesea.music.co.uk, and live from jolly old England with a little bit of wine and close to midnight tea. Ladies and gentlemen, live from London, England, the Deep Blue Seas, Graham, Amanda, and Diego. Guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey. Good evening. Good evening.
Hello. Yes, I love to see all your faces here, by the way. If you can stand up, that'd be great. And I'll take a little wine, by the way. Thank you. So you've been doing Deep Blue Sea for quite a while before changing your name, and you've got a new album out coming up. You're a blues rock band from London, England, and you guys are from the U.S., Sweden, and also from Spain as well, with a very unique background. And first of all, before we get into all that, tell us how you got started with the band.
Well, the last person out of the four of us to join the band was Amanda. Amanda joined in last year, and after doing 3 gigs, we recorded a live album, which just shows how amazing Amanda is as a drummer. And we recorded that last May, and then during the course of the year after that, and into December, we writing the rest of the songs for the studio album. We recorded the studio album in December of 2018 into February 2019, and it came out, and we've been touring since sort of summer, promoting the album. It's gone down fantastically well, I'm glad to say, touch wood. We've played lots and lots of festivals around the UK. It's been a lot of fun.
It sounds like a lot of fun too. And Amanda, let's talk about how you got started and how you got involved. You've got a great story to tell.
Do I? Well, I joined the band about a year and a half ago, and Graham had contacted me a year prior to that because they needed a deaf drummer. And the first time you contacted me, I couldn't actually do it, so we just sort of kept in touch online. And then he contacted me a year after that and sort of said, actually, we still need a deaf drummer. And I sort of came in and I did a few shows, and we recorded the live album. And then I sort of ended up being permanent member, which has been really great. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And also Diego as well too. A little bit of wine. You can just tell us how you got involved.
Oh, I still try to find out why that happened.
It's okay. You can have a few more glasses of wine, then we can talk. How's that?
It was the wine and the love of music what put this band together. I know, by the way, before the connection, we lost the connection before. Amanda was saying something about she joined the band because Graham is a great cook and everything. But I have to say something about that. Graham is English. I'm Spanish. Come on. You think really British people know anything about food? Come on.
This happens all the time, Mike. We have this argument all the time.
Oh, really? Okay. I mean, who's right in this case, you think? Will this ever end? I mean, if y'all argue, you can do it right here, too. It's okay. It's like, it's just a show. That's all. So.
Amanda keeps the peace by eating all of our food. So and of course, Dragus is American, so she doesn't know anything about food at all.
Oh, really? Okay. And Dragus, whereabouts in America you're from?
She's not Dragus, not here, but she's from L.A.
Oh, Los Angeles. Okay.
She's currently actually in Los Angeles because her sister's getting married, or just got married last weekend, so she's on a holiday.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. Well, I'll pass it on.
Okay. All right. We will do that. And, of course, just tell us about how you guys got started in your careers before you formed Deep Blue Sea, which used to be Little Devils.
Yeah, go ahead, Graham.
All right. Okay. Well, I started a long time ago. I come from the north of England, which is about 300 miles north of London. Getting close to the border of Scotland, really, a place called Newcastle. And I moved down to London, and the first band I joined was actually a new wave band managed by Malcolm McLaren, who was the manager of the Sex Pistols.
Oh, wow.
I thought to myself, well, this was very easy. So I just moved down from the north, and I become immediately in this band, and life is going to be so easy after that. But it turned out it was a little bit more difficult than that. There was a few more twists and turns involved, but it was fun. It was good. And then things went on for that period of time until I ended up here, learning about songwriting, learning about music, learning about working with people and how to cook better food than anybody else along the way.
Ooh, cooking food. You know what? I can see it right now. It's like, playing for food. I think that'd be a great idea, maybe for next album. And Graham, who are some of your musical influences that inspired you and also growing up?
Well, my father was a jazz musician, and as was his brother, and my grandmother. This is going back to God knows how long. She actually sang and performed in the music hall. So I grew up in a music family. But my influences, music, the first major influence was the Beatles. And then I found that get inspirations for music tends to be a journey backwards. It's happened with individual musicians. For example, Bob Dylan. I only heard Bob Dylan in the 70s, because that's when I became musically aware. But I had to go back then and find out Bob Dylan's stuff in the 60s. And you go back and hear that, and that takes you back to the things that influenced him in the 50s, and then back to the 40s. And the same thing happened with Eric Clapton's another example. I got into Eric Clapton when he was in the band called Derek and the Dominoes. Mm-hmm. And then, well, obviously Cream had already split up, and I had to go back and find out all about them. And when you look at the Cream album, you would see the writing credits would credit somebody like, say, Chester Burnett or McKinley Morganfield. So you'd have to find out who Chester Burnett was. Turns out he was a guy called Howlin' Wolf. And I had to find out how Howlin' Wolf's music. And McKinley Morganfield was Muddy Waters. So I had to go and find out about Muddy Waters. And that takes you back to Robert Johnson. And so music is like going backwards, learning about all these roots, and then finding a way to retell that story in a new way. So it's always a circular journey to a certain thing. You go back, you come forward. You go back, you come forward. That to me is what it's all about. I don't think it's ever happened to me in any other way than that. Springsteen, I got into Springsteen in Darkness on the Edge of Town album. I wasn't aware that he had 3 or 4 other albums out before that until I didn't know who he was. Then I went to go back and find out, and that's always sort of been the way it's happened with me.
Wow.
So yeah.
That was something. Keep going here. And also, too, I was going to mention about Robert Johnson. He later influenced Muddy Waters, and he had Mick Jagger and the Stones and everything else. It's like, it was just an amazing chain.
Oh, absolutely. He's like he's the, if not the most fundamental pillar of all of contemporary blues music, or all music. You can say so much came from that. That he was the source. He's like Moses coming down the mountain with the 10 Commandments or something. He's his legacy is absolutely immense. Can't be overestimated.
That is something too, and I could see Moses right now adding the 11th commandment: "Thou shalt play the Beatles."
Yeah,
It sounds like you got a great foundation as well, too, and an influence in music. And Amanda, since you're from the Sweden area, and tell us how you got started musically.
Oh, wow. Well, yes, I am Swedish, so my first favorite band was actually ABBA, and I know all the songs, all the lyrics, both in English and Swedish. But I did start playing drums when I was 14, and it was a lot of metal and punk and like really heavy music. I only wore black as a teenager. And then I sort of moved to London when I was 20 and did I got a formal education in popular music history, not music history, popular music performance. But with that came, learning about history. And I'd always listen to, like what Graham was saying about this, like you find one artist and you really like them, and then it sort of traces it back to who influenced them and what have you. So I'd always, even as a child, been listening to a lot of old music, which not even my parents listened to, and my friends didn't always. Some of my friends listened to like older music, but so I was influenced. I listened to a lot of Motown, a lot of 60s stuff when I was growing up, and I think everything will influence you in some way because, and also with the drums, which is my instrument, it's such a newly made instrument, if you will. It's 100 years old or something. So it's, yeah.
And,
like that.
and that's amazing, too. And who are some of your favorite drummers while you were growing up, besides a drummer from ABBA?
Yeah. Well, I did actually very early on come across Gene Krupa, and I just thought that was absolutely... Because the first time I heard Gene Krupa, it was via YouTube, so it was a video of him playing. And I remember just sort of... Because I'd never really heard swing and jazz music before, and I just remember thinking, oh my God, I love this music, and he's playing it like a punk musician, like with that energy. So I think Gene Krupa definitely had a big influence on me, and then sort of via him I got into jazz and got very interested in that. But I love Danny Carey from Tool. I got into that when I was sort of during my metal period when I was a teenager, and still. So I think a lot of different drummers from different genres, which I think is good. You get different influences from different people. So yeah.
That is amazing how you can bring all that to the table as well, too. And lastly, we have Diego with a glass of wine. So, Diego, if you can stand up, and I'll take some wine with you, too. So tell us how you got started musically.
Well, I don't come from a musical family, although my mom used to play piano and my dad a bit of guitar, but I was my whole life a music lover, and as Amanda or Graham, I never liked listening only one type of thing. So I never understood people that only listen blues or only listen heavy metal or only listen whatever. From my point of view, since I was a teenager, I used to love Django Reinhardt and Nine Inch Nails, and that made completely sense for me. many people said, how does can be connected? As Graham said, if you start to go back, everything is connected. You get to Robert Johnson or to whatever, and from there you can have Nine Inch Nails. Well, not Django Reinhardt from Robert Johnson, but
together.
Yeah, I would love to see them together. But the thing is, in one point, it made sense for me. I started to play guitar really late. Actually, I was 17. In one point, I decided, okay, this makes no sense. I love music. My life, since I wake up till I go to bed, is music. So I need to do something with this. So one day I got a guitar, and since then, well, I tried to learn everything. Since from Django Reinhardt to Nine Inch Nails, from Wes Montgomery to to Tommy Manuel. I love all kind of music, and I think everything. Actually, one of my biggest influences was a guy called Danny Gatton, that probably you know. He was from Washington, I think. He was the greatest unknown guitarist in the world. Yeah, it's called like that. And the thing I loved about him is he was mixing blues, jazz, country, rockabilly, swing, everything in the same song. So wow, the greatest. And that was for me always what it made sense in terms of music. Try to put everything together and.
I think one of the things about the band, Mike, is the fact that apart from we're all together enjoying the music that we create together, but individually, I guess we all bring influences from different areas. And what makes that work is Dragas, our singer, has a phenomenal sense of melody. She's a composer. She's a great pianist. She's a great guitar player, bassist. But her knowledge of melody and her ability to create melody is fantastic. Iago, he plays guitar in the band, but he also is a phenomenal finger-picking guitarist. He's a great acoustic guitarist. Amanda's influences, apart from the jazz, she's got great other great techniques in these, and a great way of coming up with rhythms and stuff for the band to make it more interesting. It's never just an obvious thing. So all of those things combine to make what we do different, and we can go in any direction. And I like the way that we won't. We're not limited by any sense of fear of stepping outside of any genre.
Well, that's one of the reasons why the album is called Strange Ways as well.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's phenomenal. And we'll talk about your album as well too, and some of your albums as well too. A little bit of history. Listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Looking for a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition way. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play and Apple, Stitcher, Podcast Addict, and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device and subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. We're here with a wonderful group from London, England called Deep Blue Sea with a blues rock uniqueness as well too. They're formerly known as Little Devils before changing the name to DBS. And tell us about all about the name change.
Well, okay, this is me again.
Sorry about that.
I never liked the name Little Devils. It was thrust upon us because we didn't actually have a name, and we were doing a gig, and somebody said, "You have to have a name for this particular gig," and so we were given this name. And it stuck. We got stuck with it, and then I didn't like it. And it came to an opportunity to completely change the name when we were changing the lineup. And I stuck around. I was looking around for something to thinking about what I was going to change it to. And when there's a phrase, I'm sure it's a phrase that's also known in America. where when you get caught between the devil and the deep blue sea. And I always thought, well, I'm caught between Little Devils and the deep blue sea, so I'll go for Little Devils. I'll go for Deep Blue Sea, sorry.
What was the reason for calling yourselves Little Devils in the first place?
I had a song called Little Devil, which is what my gran used to call me when I was just a little kid. I always used to remember. I know what you're doing, you little devil. Something that just until we had this song called Little Devil, and there's nothing more significant to it or sinister than that. I'm afraid it's a Deep Blue Sea. I mean, I wasn't even aware there was a film about a shark called Deep Blue Sea. I was aware that there was a play by a guy called Terence Rattigan, which is this a love triangle passion drama thing, which Rattigan had written very eloquently about his own personal life, but he changed the facts and put it into a situation. And it was kind of a play set after World War II, when a fighter pilot had come home having fought in World War II, and the stress level that he experienced as a fighter pilot fighting in World War II had left him in some ways totally broken, and he couldn't get back to that level of excitement, that level of intensity. Meryl Streep made a film called Plenty, in which she played a very similar person, and it's a very emotive subject. I feel that you're put into a situation of life and death. You come through it, and life after that can't replicate the intensity of that moment. And I was struck by it. It was a very effective play, and it meant a lot to me. Still does.
Wow, that is something too. And of course, you also start with your first of many albums. This Is How It Starts. You also have the first song, "Hang My Head," and tell us about your first album.
Oh wow! Well, the first album, "This Is How It Starts," is called "This Is How It Starts" because that's how it started. It's also "This Is How It Started," the first line from the song "Hang My Head." It was recorded in the same place I've recorded all of the albums, including the last album, "Strange Race," which is in just a local studio down in a part of London called Deptford. Deptford's been likened to Greenwich Village in New York as being sort of the last part of London that hasn't been sort of gentrified and homogenized and become just another bland example of another street in London. Deptford is definitely not another part of London that you would think, oh, this looks the same as everywhere else. It's kind of different. It's a bit more funky. And so we recorded it down there. It was a bunch of songs that I'd written with various different people, and it was just reflected. It was called "This Is How It Starts," not only because of one of the songs, "Hang My Head," but it was also called "This Is How It Starts" because it was all of the songs were written in a period of time where they were all about that moment in time, which was 2009. At a time when the global recession was kicking in. And I remember walking through London and seeing so many homeless people in doorways, sleeping rough and things. And a word came up a phrase came up from a film. "Orphans of the Storm" was a title of a French film that was made in something like 1930. I must explain. I grew up not only with my family musicians, they were also film buffs. And my father's uncle, my father's cousin was a guy called Bill Travers. He was in England anyway. He was a famous actor. He played in a couple of films, Ring of Bright Water and Born Free. And we kind of had all the films were just surrounded our family. And so I grew up with films as well. So there's this film called Orphans of the Storm, which was set in the French Revolution and about two women who survived all sorts of deprivations in the French Revolution. And I took that title because as I walked around and I saw all the homeless people And I thought that they are orphans of this storm that's raging around the world, and creating terrible times in America as it was in England as well, and it was a bad time. So that's what that first album was about.
So are a lot of your songs based on what's been happening in England, like during the hard times, based on films, or what were most of your songs based on?
Well, interestingly enough, one of the songs off the last album is a song called No Pasaran, which you might think the title...
No Pasaran.
Iago knows how to pronounce it. You might think it's going to be about Spain, but it's not. It's about it's about now in London, but it's also about London in the 14th century and London in 1936. So it mashes up a lot of various different things.
Wow. So it's like you're taking songs and you're just mashing from like the early London to later early London and to modern London. You're smashing them all into one. That's amazing.
Yeah. It is.
And it's also the typical blues song that mixes bolero rhythm with funk and with punk.
Yeah.
and did you allow these guys to throw in some Spain and Sweden into the mix in your songs?
Oh, absolutely. Iago writes the music. Iago's a master of he's an amazing musician. So Iago writes the music. I scratch out bits of words, and Dre turns those bits of words into wonderful melodies, and Amanda turns the rhythms into wonderful rhythms. I'm the worst drummer in the world.
Worst drummer in the world? We'll see about that. I'm joking here. You also have a second album called Diamonds and Poison, which you have a song called Soho by Night. And tell us about your second album.
Wow, right, okay. Diamonds and Poison, the title Diamonds and Poison comes from a line on that song, Soho by Night. Soho is my favourite part of London. As I wander around Soho during the day or by night, you see so many characters, you see so many people. There's such a mix of all life is there. It's creative, it's interesting, it's alive, it's really buzzing. And the later it gets, the more buzzy it gets. And it's just my observations of the various different people that you see. And it's sort of mostly, it's quite light-hearted. I must confess, I got a degree of help with some of the music by a guy called Robert Zimmerman, or Bob Dylan as he's otherwise known. He did help me with a few of the chords. But the lyrics are quite light-hearted. It's just the observation of some people, except for there's one point in time where, because the thing is, London and Soho can be absolutely amazing, but it can also be very sleazy, and it can be a little bit sort of dangerous here and there. And so it gets down to one little point in the song where it's sometimes you get this idea that some people are looking for diamonds and all they're getting is poison. But actually that song was selected to be on a thing called The Voice USA, which is a TV program. I don't know much detail about it because I was never able to go and do it, but it was actually selected to be on a program called The Voice USA as a song.
Oh, the program on in the USA called The Voice. Okay, now I got it. That is very big, and that song's been selected. Was it been selected by you? They asked you to come on, or was it selected by somebody else, and they asked permission from you to sing it?
It was selected by the producer. This is back in 2012.
Wow. She
contacted me and said, I don't listen to songs all the way through because I just don't have time. He said, unfortunately with this song, I had no choice but to listen to it all the way through. I just thought it was so good. And unfortunately, we simply could not get the band over to America. It was just it wasn't possible at all. So we couldn't take it any further.
Mm-hmm. And of course, I'm sure you get another crack as well too. Like say you've got your other voice similar, like in Britain and Sweden and Spain and everything else. And you also have that album called About Time, which is kind of a little tongue in cheek to This Is How It Starts. And you kind of said it's about time, and you can just tell us about that. And of course, this also led to The Storm Inside, which appears from what you talked about almost like your epic album, The Storm Inside?
Well, The Storm is, I suppose it's almost as close as you can get to a concept album, because it starts with an instrumental called Storm Warning, and it ends with an instrumental called Heavy Weather. And in between, there are certain songs. I guess there's one called It's Going to Be Cold, or Cold, I think it's called. And it's a song about, I guess, in the current environmental crisis, and how things seem to be escalating out of control, and unless we do something very quickly, I think we're heading for a really terrible time. It's hard to know. I don't want to bring everybody down and be depressing, but the song is that the album, The Storm Inside, is about the storm inside a person, perhaps, but also perhaps the storm inside this world. Mm-hmm. Now, well, there's going to be no stopping.
Right, yes, and of course, you also have your compilation "Hell Must Be Empty" as well, too, which basically just have all your songs in it as well, too. And then you also got the Deep Blue Sea's first album. We'll talk about that, and plus your upcoming single and your new album. But first, to listen to the Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition way. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960, or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at facebook.com/the Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, and Apple. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Well, of course, enjoying a little wine and company with all you guys over here, and I'm sure you can do technology where you can pour some wine. And Diego, want to pour me a little cup in here, please? Can you do that right now?
Sorry.
Okay. All right, here we go. So let's try to pour some in, and like that. Okay. And what kind of wine is that, by the way?
It's a Spanish wine. Of course.
It's not going to be a British one.
No, it's a Spanish Tempranillo.
Ooh, you're making me thirsty for some, I'll tell you that. And before we drink a little more wine here, we're here with the members of the Deep Blue Sea, formerly known as Little Devils. They're a blues rock band based out of London, England. We talked about some of their music, and switching over to DBS, you've got your first album out, which is called Live Up, and tell us all about that. And Graham, you've been doing a lot of speaking, and Amanda and Diego, yeah, go ahead and just jump in.
Right, well, that was an album. It's a live album, and it was recorded, I think it was my 4th ever gig with these guys, because they originally got me in as a deaf drummer, or I think in America, I think you call it a sub drummer, a substitute drummer.
Actually, I think it's more fun the first gig we did together at the Limelight Theatre.
Oh! You remember that?
I can't forget that. The first time ever that Amanda played with us was a gig we did in a theater, and I got food poisoning from chicken I bought in a supermarket, and I had to end the gig halfway through to go to vomit. And not only vomit.
Vomit on stage, oh my goodness.
With Amanda, and I'm really surprised that she's still with us after that day.
It was the first time I actually met the band. They picked me up in the van, and I remember, you being very ill, and we had to cut the set short. And then we had to obviously drive back to London, because this place was, I don't know, like a 2-hour drive or something.
Yeah, 2 hours drive, which means I was with my head inside of a bag, vomiting. And that was the beginning of the live album.
Yeah, and then we had, 2 more gigs, and then we had the gig which we recorded as the live album. And so it was very, very quick. We had to sort of get to know each other and
over vomit. That's amazing. We thought it was over wine. So
yeah, but I mean that album was basically there's some songs that I guess Little Devils had done earlier that we sort of did like newer versions of, and then there's some new songs on there that you hadn't done in the previous lineup. So there were some new songs on there that we sort of tried out. Yeah,
I think the good thing about that album is that it's really raw. It's there's no I don't know, big productions or whatever. Is the band enjoying itself. We were having fun on the stage. We were enjoying jamming and
I think a lot
trying to create something authentic.
Yeah, a lot of on the Live It Up album is actually improvised. Like it's not, we had sort of, we're going to play these songs, but we had only played them a few times, so we hadn't sort of really, the structure wasn't sort of set. So I think there's one very long solo you're doing in one of the songs, and we had never played that together before. So I was sort of just improvising and following, I think the track, and Then You Smile. Yeah.
A few places.
Yes, but
it's great.
It's it is what it is. It's a live album. What you were saying, like it's the authenticity of it.
Yeah, but one of the great things about that album is if you listen to those songs now, they don't sound the same. But another great thing is if you listen to those songs tomorrow, they are not going to sound the same.
Isn't that the whole point of music? You get like different interpretations every time you hear something. It's just like movies. I completely understand. It's okay.
That's the whole thing for me about what's live music. One of the things that as I said before, I'm a music lover. I love music and I love live music. But the thing is, when I go to a gig, when I go to see a band, I want to see a band performing. I want to see something that is real. I don't want to go to a gig and listen to an album. To do that, I'm more comfortable in my house with my glass of wine and listening to the album. I want to see something real. And I think that's what we are trying to do when we go to the stage. We never play the same gig twice. I think I told them many times the best thing someone told me after a gig was after a gig with the Blue Sea was a guy who came when we finished the gig, and he came to me and he said, I saw you a couple of days ago and I loved that gig. That's why I decided to repeat. I came today and I saw a different gig. The reason why I decided to repeat is because what I saw that day was a band taking a lot of risk on the stage, which sometimes can be good, sometimes can be bad. You never know. That's the whole thing. But there was a band taking risks on the stage. That's why he decided to come back again 2 days after to see the same band, because he knew he was not going to see the same gig again. So I think in the live
wow, that is something.
Yeah, I think in the live album you can see more or less a bit of that. There's a band taking risks on the stage.
Yeah.
That is amazing too. And of course, we'll talk about your new album called Strange Ways, which is out right now. And tell us about your new album as well too.
Right, okay, well, it's called Strange Ways. There's a track on the album called Strange Ways, and it originated. There was it originated because of three things. Firstly, there was a terror attack in Paris at the Bataclan nightclub. There was, I think, an American band on called. Eagles of Death Metal. Eagles of Death Metal, yeah. And there was a terrorist attack against people at a gig were killed, and that shook me. It shocked me terribly. And then in Manchester, in England, there was a pop concert by a young American girl,
Ariana
Grande.
Ariana Grande, yes, I remember that. And I think that band in Paris, that was an American band. I couldn't remember it. It was death metal. It was like little known, but that made that they became famous after the attack. And I mean, it was just unfortunate. You're right. But Ariana Grande, I think that really drew a lot of attention in Manchester, what happened.
It was awful. It was terrible. And I'd been writing some lines down about those two things. And then the third thing that happened was in London, in London Bridge, there's a market called Borough Market. It's where they filmed Bridget Jones's Diary and lots of other films. It's kind of a key central spot in London. And there was a terror attack there. My son is a cook. He's a chef. He works in that market. He was at work on the night of the terror attack, and it didn't take long for us to find out he was okay. We called him, and everything was all right. But it's true that the 15 minutes of trying to contact him was the most horrific moment in my life, and he was involved in the whole thing. He knew people he knew people who were throwing chairs at these terrorists who were coming at them with machetes and things, and there was these cooks and chefs and people just throwing chairs, trying to slow them down before the police got there, and it was horrific. And so I'd written these words down, and Iago wrote some amazing music. It fitted, and then the words. Well, our singer Dragus took my two-note melody and turned it into a wonderful melody of passion and she sings it incredibly well. Amanda put the tempos, the rhythms, the patterns to this song, the feel of like the ins and outs and the highs and lows, and that's the song. That's how the song became the song, and it's called the album is called Strange Ways because of that song, but also because I'd say we go in strange ways as a band. We're not sort of bound to any particular path. The songs we write are written how we want to write them, and if someone comes along that says, well, this isn't blues, but it feels right,
mm-hmm.
or this isn't rock, this sounds like folk music, but it feels right, and this is jazz, isn't it? Yeah, but it feels right. So if it feels right, we'll feel it.
Mm-hmm. And you do feel it too, the way you're talking as well too. You got a new single called out "Don't Say I Didn't Warn You," and tell us about that one.
Amanda would like to tell us about "Don't Say I Didn't Warn You."
No,
I talk too much, Mike.
No. So it's okay if you both want to talk all at the same time. That's fine with me. Makes more magic. Anyway, go ahead. You can do "Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo," "Catch a Tiger by the Toe."
About the lyrics in the song, I have no idea. I never pay attention to that. The thing is, the music in that song. Well, I think it's fair to say that it was born working along with a drummer I used to play in a different band called JFK. The guy is called Saul Ezra. He's a great songwriter as well. And I was working with him because I was playing with them in those times. And Saul sent me a very, very basic melody with an acoustic guitar doing a really basic strumming. And he sent me that, and from that suddenly a completely different door opened to me, and I came with the riff of that song, the main riff of the song. And suddenly it was one of these moments that don't happen really often, but sometimes suddenly a door is open and everything comes. Yeah. So suddenly I started with the riff and the whole song came behind. I stopped playing with this band, and I thought this song is too good to be wasted. I said, I'm saying it in a modest way. I know it sounds like, yeah, I wrote this and it's too good. No. Suddenly I thought, no, it's the music was already there, and I thought it's catchy, it's powerful, so we have to do something with this. And I said to Graham, I have this, and we need to do something with this. So he wrote new lyrics.
Actually, I didn't. I only wrote some of them. Dragus wrote it. Actually, we actually wrote them. I don't know. I've told you this.
No, I don't know this. This is
some of it's about Amanda. Amanda had got some hater on either it was on Twitter or something. You had somebody who was giving some grief on social media, and I was struggling to finish the lyrics off with, and I was talking to Dragus, and I said, this song is about the sort of thing, the hassle that Amanda is having, and Dragus said, leave it with me. That's the lyrics, and because she just latched onto it, and so it was actually Amanda getting some guy pestering her or somebody giving her some grief on social media that was actually the inspiration for the song "Don't Say I Didn't Warn You."
Oh my goodness! And where can we find your music as well too?
Well, it's a sale on the website. It's you can also on Facebook at / Deep Blue Sea Music. If anybody's searching for us, it's always best to put in Deep Blue Sea Music, because Deep Blue Sea will just land you in with the sharks.
Bottom.
Yeah, we've got. We also have music on Spotify and
iTunes, Deezer, Amazon. It's everywhere. We're everywhere on the internet.
That is amazing too. And any plans for an upcoming tour in 2020?
Well, we have a new manager. We've just signed a deal with a German manager. He's convinced that our future at the moment lies in Northern Europe and Japan. Nice. Well, yeah, we've got no objection to that. But obviously, I've met a lot of American musicians who've come over to London, to England, who said, we've got to be playing the 100 Club. It's where the Rolling Stones played. It's where Paul McCartney played. And they kind of think of that as the Mecca. Or they go to Liverpool, or they go to places. But of course, for non-US musicians, our idea of going to the Holy Grail is to play somewhere like Memphis, or place to go to New Orleans. I know my uncle is a trombonist. Did this a tour where he played in various different places until he got down to New Orleans, and his basic comment was that I can die a happy man. I've played trombone in New Orleans. Yes, we'd all like to do that.
Oh my goodness! You mentioned Memphis and New Orleans. Don't forget the other meccas like New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, and Miami too, and DC. Don't forget those.
Yeah.
Well, I've been in Washington. I've been in New York lots of times. So yeah, New York is probably one of the greatest places in the world. It's a lovely place to be. It's fantastic.
That's fantastic. Let us know about your upcoming tour, and when you be in the U.S., we'll check you guys out. And just a few more minutes here. You guys have been fantastic. Look forward to having you again soon. Who do you consider biggest influences in your career?
Amanda.
Oh God.
No, Amanda was the biggest influence in my career.
Wow.
Please,
Oh wow.
Come on, be honest.
Oh, I don't. Well.
LP. Come on.
Yeah, I do
divine.
I do love an American singer-songwriter called LP. I think she's fantastic. But that's a fairly recent influence, though. I think I do love another American band called Mother's Finest. I do love Tool. I love Gene Krupa, Anita O'Day. So there's all kind of different genres, if you will. I think what really inspires me and what influences me are people that are genuinely passionate about what they do. It doesn't really matter what genre they do or what they play or if they're a singer. If they have something to say and they can convey that with emotion, and it just hits here, then you know, that speaks to me really, and I find that very inspiring.
That's great. And you two guys, biggest influences in your careers?
Yeah, I would say the same as Amanda. As soon as someone played with passion, that's all I need. I really don't mind what style, what instrument, or whatever. Some of my all-time influences could be Django Reinhardt, Duke Ellington, or Nine Inch Nails, or Tool, or Guns N' Roses, or Nirvana, or Paco de Lucia in Spain, or I don't know, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, whoever plays with passion. Pantera. Amanda loves.
Oh yes, Pantera. That's right, classic.
Yeah, everything with Iago's accent just becomes like exponentially better.
Pantera, well, it's a Spanish word. What do you expect? Pantera.
It's the wine, guys. It's the wine.
The other one I'd say is like this is going to be the Shakespeare, right? The Shakespeare of rock and roll, Chuck Berry.
Oh yes, Chuck Berry from St. Louis, Missouri.
Yeah, the Shakespeare of rock, Bob Dylan. The Shakespeare of modern rock, Bruce Springsteen. The Shakespeare of English rock, Elvis Costello. These things, the vein runs through the entire genre of things. Of people who use language to create something wonderful. Chuck Berry is incomparably brilliant. His lyrics, his sense of fun, his cheekiness is just infectious.
Can I just also mention Little Richard, because I think he's brilliant.
Absolutely.
I absolutely love Little Richard.
Yeah.
And that was also one of my very early influences, listening to the old like 50s kind of awesome just rock and roll stuff.
Great balls of Valley.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. And also, one more thing before we wrap up here. You guys want to sing us a song from one of your albums, or like from your previous ones, or like maybe a line or two?
Oh my God!
What?
I guess how long have you got, Mike? Because Iago's just quickly unzipping. He's only unzipping his acoustic guitar. Don't worry.
I'm not worried at all. So, just a few minutes here. Maybe pick a song you guys can sing along. We love to hear what you got here on the Mike Wagner Show at Deep Blue Sea.
Okay. Of Piccadilly shoots wide of the mark, past working girls in Shepherd's Market to the bushes in Hyde Park, and crafty cockney bouncers bristle as they leer at lippy legless tourists drunk on empty heads and beer. Old Compton Cavaliers cruising in and out of parking meters with a come on to Spanish waiters to Miri beef eaters. Berwick Street Boulevardiers and Waldorf Pompadours mixed with punks, goths and glams, and water-painted halls. All together now. So by night, gritty city noises. They put up a fight. Or tell me, what's your poison? So by night, city scenes, lost souls in flight on beds of broken dreams, tourist traps, shrink wraps, and disco dolly dancers. Watch the Windsors and the Mincers and the Middle Earth necromancers as as they mingle with the slime balls and the bristling shaven ravens. As the dirty London rain falls, greasy on the pavements. They stand like tombstones, doorway darlings, stretching lurex with the incense of the funeral, the plastic perfume of Durex. Waiters wolf whistle, it's raining cats and dogs amongst the ghosts of Soho Square in the murky London fog. Soho by night, really city noises, put up a fight. Oh, tell me what's your poison? Soho by night, city scenes, lost souls in flight, on beds of broken dreams.
Very impressive. Soho by Night. You did a great Bob Dylan impersonation. Great job, all of you. Great job.
I've got sinusitis.
Oh, that was fantastic. Guys, thank you very much for your time. Deep Blue Sea, ladies and gentlemen. Iago, Amanda, and the leader, Graham, tell us once again your upcoming projects. What's the website? How do people contact you? And where can people find your music?
Amanda, could you do that thing? I've got my nose is absolutely gone.
Well, you can find us on deepblueseamusic.co.uk, and if you type in DBS Music UK, you will find us on all the socials. And if you search on Spotify, iTunes and
Amazon,
Deezer, you will find all our music there. Yeah.
It's all, if you're just searching for us and you don't know the sites, just type in Deep Blue Sea Music, and we should come up and haunt you for the rest of your days.
After the soundtrack of the film.
Yes.
That's fantastic. Guys, Iago and Amanda and Graham and Dragus from Los Angeles, wherever you are, I'd like to thank you for your time and I'd like to wish you all the best. Looking forward to having you again in 2020. And do us a favor, keep us updated, and we love having you back on again soon.
I only have one more thing to say.
Go ahead.
Salud!
Salud! That's right. Salud. Oh, gosh, I got to raise it. Yes, raise it. Salud.
Thank you so much, Mike.
Thank you.
Cheers, Mike. Thank you very much for having us.
Thanks for listening to The Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, YouTube, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and themikewagnershow.com. Please support our program with your donations at themikewagnershow.com. Join us again next time for another great episode of The Mike Wagner Show.